Hello, everybody. Welcome again. Another edition of 18 Minutes with 180 Markets. Technology, search technology, we have come so far so quickly. Friends, when you think about how you search on Google, even in the last 5 years, it's unbelievably different. But friends, have you considered one area of search that really hasn't quite kept up is video search? And I'm not just talking about a YouTube snippet per se. I'm talking about really customizable to the precise content you want of video. That has not kept up. But with us today, we have Chris Richardson of Linius Technologies. And Linius is an incredibly interesting company because they have solved that problem. They can make, through their AI and other features, your video experience completely customizable. Imagine just watching out of a 25-minute video, just the 20 seconds that you want. But not only that, sucked together with other content that is in exactly the same way. Anyway, enough with me talking about it. Chris, welcome to 18 Minutes with 180 Markets.
Thanks, Greg. Delighted to be here. And yeah, we're pretty excited about what we're doing here at Linius. We think it has tons of applications, and you're not wrong, right? Personalization has driven the internet, and video has, quite frankly, lagged behind. But we're here to solve that problem.
Absolutely. Hey, Chris, before we get into Linius, can you just give us a little bit of everyone's got a story and people want to invest into people as much as projects, if you will. Can you just tell us your story?
Sure. I mean, I'm not going to give you my whole resume, and I'm not sure how exciting my story is, but I guess we'll start in the mid-90s. I was at university studying mathematics at the University of Michigan, and ended up working on what really was some of the foundational software of the internet, something called routing software. That really, it's the backbone of how the internet connects together. I spent some time traveling around the world, working with developing countries, helping them get connected to the internet. And then in 2000, we had the opportunity to take that technology and spin it out of the university. So we did. I moved out to San Francisco, and that was my first technology startup. We raised funds through traditional venture capital. And I spent the next decade doing high-tech startups in Silicon Valley across really a lot of deep tech spaces, routing, voice over IP, Wi-Fi, even switching, sort of core technology kinds of things. And then in 2011, I moved into the world of video. Video is actually, it was kind of a surprise to me because even then it felt like video was solved. I mean, we had YouTube, you could watch video on the internet, but when I started digging into it, I realized that there's just a ton of technical complexity that nobody ever sees behind the scenes, and a ton of opportunity to improve stuff. And ultimately, that's where we got to with Linius. I came here December 2015, joined Linius, and we took it public through an RTO in April 2016 to really transform the entire world of video. And that's the path we're on.
Absolutely. So, Chris, I think it's important to know, how is Linius different than, say, YouTube, how to fix my toilet seat, so to speak?
Well, so first of all, Linius as a company is a B2B SaaS platform, software as a service. So I think everybody's used to that acronym today. It was a new thing a decade ago, but now it's kind of the way software is done, right? And we provide this service to other businesses. The businesses are the content owners, the ones who have the rights to the video. So in the world of sports, that could be an individual team or a league. It could be some web property like an ESPN.com, or it could be a private corporation like a university or a big enterprise. And then we provide them the tools that give them the capability to deliver that personalized TV, that ability to have for every single viewer a unique stream, something that nobody's ever been able to pull off before, and getting that, you and your neighbor don't have to watch the same thing ever again.
That's incredible. Can you though give us an example of, say I'm a big EPL fan of a Liverpool team. What would my stream potentially look like?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great example. And that's exactly the kind of stuff that we're doing in the sports world. Obviously, COVID has impacted sports globally with a lot of stuff shut down. But that exact use case, dealing with the fan who wants to see just what they want to see, is what we've done and agreed with the NBL in Australia, and with the Indonesian Soccer League with their 80 million fans through Sports Hero. And the notion is, all right, today, everybody's going to watch the game of their favorite team. And then you come in Monday morning and you turn on your TV and you watch the highlights that the sports broadcasters created for you. But why should I do that in the world of the internet, right? Shouldn't I be able to say, all right, so what do you say, a EPL Liverpool fan? So who are the big players for Liverpool? Let's say like Sadio Mane is a great player that I love, and I don't know, and Klopberg's the coach. So I'm going to come in and say, I want my TV channel, my sports channel, to only show me the highlights of the Liverpool game. I want them, because I'm a Liverpool fan, I want to see the highlights of the Chelsea and Man U games, but only if they lost. And I want to see any news clips that involve Sadio Mane or whoever my other favorite players might be. And then every time I come back and tune into that on whatever the station might be, right? So it could be on Liverpool's own Liverpool TV, or it could be on foxsports.com. And then I get my channel with exactly the content I want. And of course, it's not limited to sports, right? If the content rights holder, if our customer, the business, the broadcaster, so to speak, to use the term loosely, if they have rights to more than one sport or to stuff beyond sports, news, entertainment, I can create multiple channels and put my rules into place to let me watch exactly what I want to watch. I come home Monday night and I want 5 minutes of sports highlights and 5 minutes of news highlights. And if there's a new episode of Master Chef, then that's my TV channel for the night, and it's always up to date with the latest content. That's what we're probably doing here.
And that's incredible. And also, I think that you hit on the point of for those of you that don't know, and I'm sure Chris is extremely aware, digital rights management is a huge issue. But in this case, because it's a B2B product, it has no effect because it's actually coming from the corporate themselves.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Chris, with a technology like this, the customization of it, there's so many verticals and so many places that it could be used. It really is mind-blowing. But at the end of the day, you do have to concentrate on a couple of areas just to really have a focus. What are the areas that you're focusing on?
Yeah, it's a great question because honestly, when we started the company, this is one of the things we struggled with because there really are not just dozens of applications, dozens of industries where the Linius technology can have an impact, and narrowing it down and figuring out where we could get the most immediate traction and really start growing the business was one of our biggest challenges. Kind of the crossing the chasm, to use the old 90s business speak challenge.
Sure.
How do you get early adopters and where do you get product market fit? And what we learned was that this notion of personalization is exactly the right fit. That's what it applies to everybody in so many different verticals. So our question then becomes, all right, how do we focus and how do we scale the business? We're not, as a technology startup, in a position where we can go out and hire 50,000 sales reps to target every video owning enterprise in the world.
Right, you're almost spoiled for choice.
Exactly. So the strategy that we've adopted, to deal with first the early adopter problem and the fact that it is a brand new technology that people don't have in their playbook today, and then work on scaling the business, is in each of several core verticals for us to do a direct deal and help get that client to success and do it in such a way that they get their metrics, whatever those happen to be, time on page, viewership, engagement, get those going in the right direction. But importantly, do it such that the solution is replicable. It's something that we can roll out again to other customers through direct sales, but more importantly, that we can roll out through our partners. And we have great relationships with IBM, with Microsoft, with Amazon. And these guys are already filling our sales pipeline in a couple key verticals where we've already executed on this strategy. So we talked a little bit about sports. We did exactly that, right? So we went and nailed the first couple of sports deals ourselves. Then we went and started pushing that through channel. As COVID struck, it actually gave us the opportunity to accelerate what is now probably the most exciting part of our business, which is our AI meeting solution in the corporate communication space. Because while personalized TV is great, everybody today, around the world in whatever country you're in, is in some form of lockdown and remote work, and we're all sitting on far more video conference calls than we ever were before. But even before COVID, this was a huge space. I mean, I think in 2019, the video conferencing space alone was somewhere around 14 billion US,
Right.
and they're forecasting a 19% compound annual growth rate up through 2026. So it's already a giant market. Before COVID, it's growing incredibly quickly. Microsoft Teams in March hit 75 million users. Zoom hit 300 million active users. And so near term, this is, back to your original question, what is our focus? Near term, this is the vertical where we're taking this personalization technology and putting control and capability and value into the hands of all those business people who are on those calls every day and never get to go back and look at them. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, I don't know, the average person in the industry is on what, 4 or 5 hours of Zoom calls a day, and half those are recorded, maybe more. How often do you actually go back and look inside of that video or watch it
Never.
again? Never. Exactly right. I don't think anybody has ever done it. So the capability that we provide, that we announced earlier this summer with Live Tiles, is a corporate meeting solution for an intelligent intranet where you can come in and across your video recordings, your Zoom calls in the enterprise, extract exactly the information that you want to see. And we
Can you give
actually
an
demoed this.
example?
Yeah, for sure. You can think of tons of examples, right? If I'm the CEO and I'm launching a new initiative and I want to see how my exec staff is talking about it to their teams, I can go back and search on that keyword of whatever the name of the product is. If I'm a sales manager and I want to see how the team's reporting on their quota, and I just want to hear all the discussions of quota over the last month. Or if I want to go farther back in history and do things like say, all right, how has our message changed around corporate earnings over the last year? And look at all my announcements of what I've said about these sorts of things. Really the ability to instantly get exactly the video that you want and pull that out and watch it. It's like having a book, right? If you pick up on a book, you can flip to the page you want and start reading. That's really, really hard to do in the world of video. And that's a capability that both we and Live Tiles think is incredibly powerful.
So, yeah,
Um,
because out of a half-hour meeting, you may really only want to focus on a 90-second snippet in retrospect, and you just forget about you remember vaguely a word or two or a phrase or two, but you just forget where it all took place. Is that where Linius comes into play, so to speak?
Yeah, exactly. And we actually, on our recent webinar, which people can go rewatch at our website, we demoed this with real video from inside of Live Tiles corporate intranet, where it was exactly that case, right? So they have hundreds and hundreds of videos and hours of video that they record internally when they're having their meetings with Microsoft Teams and Stream. And the ability to go in and say, I think they have some new product they were launching called Hyperfish, I believe. The ability to go in and find where somebody's talking about their product, not just that they're talking about the product, but which specific person is talking about it.
That's
And
crazy.
again, instantly pull that up, see what I want to see, and hear that conversation. It changes the way we access information in the video world, and it's already being successful, right? So Live Tiles, when we first announced the deal, they hadn't yet announced how many clients they have. They've since come out and said they're in excess of 4.5 million users. So the business model in this particular case, enterprise space, corporate communications, is kind of what you expect. It's what you're used to with your Zoom account or your Slack account or all these corporate comms tools that we all use, where you pay a fee per user per month. And for the Linius Live Tile solution, the Linius part of that, our AI meeting solution that sits on top of Live Tiles, is $3 per user per month.
Cheap.
The split on it is cheap. The split on it is 80-20 because Live Tiles is effectively a reseller for us in that model. They're really an OEM embedding it into their products, and so we get 80% of that. So $3 US, it's about $3 Aussie per user per month. So it doesn't take a lot. I mean, if they only got 10% penetration of their 4.5 million users, 450,000 users a month at $3 per user per month, that's real money pretty quickly. But Live Tiles is just the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. I mean, they're great and we love them and they're a fabulous partner. We've actually already announced that they've won their first client, a significant university. So we're looking forward to deploying that. that's a bit of a tangent. Maybe we can come back to about the university use case, but that's a super cool one too.
Yeah,
But
but it
beyond live tiles, there are dozens of these companies around the world. And of course, there are all the big names that we're used to, the Zooms, the Blue Jeans, the WebExes of the world. And so our strategy going forward, again, is to work with our partners, the Amazons, the Microsofts, to get us into those clients, but also to directly integrate. A lot of these guys have product partner pages and open APIs where you can integrate with them. So we're actually, over the next several weeks, directly going to be rolling out stuff that's available on Zoom and other platforms like that, so people can get started immediately using the Linius solution and getting access to that data.
yeah, that's incredible. So that's basically de facto your sales force, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, I think of it as a channel opportunity, but factoring your sales force is a great way to look at it, for sure, for sure.
Right. And so, obviously the technology sounds incredible, but the business has to make money. It's pretty easy to see at $3 per user. And once you have the technology, as far from, obviously the big question in tech always is, how do you scale? Are there any scaling issues from your point of view?
Yeah, there are two scaling challenges, right? One is the technological scaling challenge. How do you actually make this work when you have hundreds of millions of users using your product? And the second is the business scaling challenge. How do you get to hundreds of millions of users using your
Absolutely.
product? We talked a little bit about the strategy to getting to the hundreds of millions of users, and that's really what we're talking about. That's the kind of scale that we're after, just inside this corporate communication space, right? So step one is replicating what we've done with Live Tiles and helping them and supporting them to get more of their enterprise clients on base and get to a large number of their users, and repeat that with other similar sorts of companies that are doing video conferencing solutions. But then move beyond video conferencing to the broader world of this whole movement around corporate tools that enable remote work, things like collaboration tools like Slack or like Jira from Atlassian,
Right.
where we can integrate with those products as well. And that market is even 10 times bigger than video conferencing. So that's the how do you scale the business part, right? It's get us through with Live Tiles, help them be successful, repeat that with our partners so that they can scale with their global sales forces, expand that market into adjacent opportunities like these productivity tools, and then repeat that in vertical segments. So we've already done sports, we've already done news, we've now done corporate communications, AI, and we'll continue to do that. Areas like areas like education, areas like security and defense. You can go on and on and on, and it's about scaling the business. Now, from a technology perspective, that's locked and loaded. That's one of the first things we did because, as I said, when I came to Linius, this was about changing the entire world of video. And the world of video is huge. 80% of the traffic on the internet is video. Just in sports, just in the US, last year, 500 billion minutes of video were watched.
It's crazy, but when you think about it, it's accurate.
Yeah, it's a crazy large space. So very early on in the company, actually before we even launched the product, when we were still in beta release, we started doing scalability testing. And it is a cloud-first service that we've built from scratch, really to scale to internet levels of numbers. And we've tested that deeply across large public libraries. I mean, one of the things we did early on, kind of just for fun as a gag, was to virtualize all the public videos that were on Instagram at the time. And when we did that, we realized, hey, we can do this at nearly double the rate that YouTube creates videos. All right, that box is ticked. We can get to scale and handle this.
Right, that's incredible. And just I guess before we cut off, you alluded to earlier a case with the university. Can you just give us that example, if you don't mind?
Yeah, it's very similar to the corporate use case, but you extend it to the classroom and to students. It's not only does it give me the ability to go back and see what my professor said. I can't remember what he said on, what were the most important virtues of Achilles in the Iliad, right? Whatever, go find when he was talking about that particular moment. But also to really aid with learning. If I come out of a seminar and I'm a freshman, I'm in Bio 101, and I totally didn't understand what this guy was saying about how photosynthesis works. And now I can say, all right, show me every TA that lectured on campus in the last year on photosynthesis. And boom, find the one who speaks to me, who I can understand best, and instantly, help improve my education. And we think it's a great use case. We
And
think it's
even
really
there,
powerful, again, today in the case of COVID.
yeah, and I suppose even with your, out of a 45-minute lecture, there may be that 6 minutes or 60 seconds, frankly, that counts. And your tools or, the Linius Toolbox, if you will, makes that happen for a person.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And actually, I'm really glad you mentioned the notion of a toolbox, because every one of these solutions is based on our LVS platform. It's a cloud platform. It's API driven. Any business, any enterprise can come connect to this and build stuff. And we've been building these targeted solutions. The way the front end looks for sports is very different than the way it looks for an internal corporate site is very different than it looks for news, for example. But on top of that base offering, we have a number of additional capabilities that we'll be rolling out in coming weeks that are all about how people better partner and plug into Linius. So you can think of this as, if I'm an enterprise and I'm running my Zoom through Linius so I can provide this stuff, maybe I want an additional plugin because I need some additional AI functionality to be run on top of that video. And we can enable that direct connection between our AI partners and our clients and their clients to continually add additional capabilities and features. Stuff like, just as one example, maybe the ability to search based on body language and tone. Right? If I'm a major bank and I want to run a training exercise and I want to look at every in-branch encounter where the client looked unhappy, right? The ability to plug into an AI that can search the video and detect that is something that will come as an add-on, as part of our toolbox, so to speak, and really just continue to grow the market and grow the opportunity across all these segments as we go forward.
Chris, that sounds insane. I could probably go on for hours, but we do have to shut it off. In closing, are there any thoughts you'd like to leave everyone with?
I mean, I think the core message here is, what stage is Linius at? And this is a brand new technology that transforms the entire world of video. So it's hard. It took us longer than we thought to get to our first deals. And we thought we had achieved sort of commercial validation at the end of 2019 with sports. In fact, we had, but then COVID struck, right? So that put a little monkey wrench in the works. But that also came with its set of benefits for us. And right now, the next 6 months is really going to be about how do we focus on and grow this business in our corporate communications AI meeting solution, expanding that market, and then wash, rinse, and repeat. It's the rubber has met the road, and now it's about growing revenue and heading into the next 12 to 18 months of really making this as big as we can make it.
Fantastic. Well, Chris, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to watching you on the journey and to joining you on that journey.
Thanks, Greg. My pleasure. And I'll look forward to speaking to your audience again in the future. This is great.
Awesome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.